Well, she's back. Hillary Clinton slamming President Trump in a new op-ed writing in The Atlantic that, quote, our democracy is in crisis and that Americans must fight back, criticizing the Trump administration after nearly 2 years in power. Going on saying this, Trump doesn't even try to pretend he's a president for all Americans. It's hard to ignore the racial subtext of virtually everything Trump says. Often it's not even subtext. None of this is a mark of authenticity or a refreshing break from political correctness. Hate speech isn't telling it like it is, it's just hate. Former Vice President Joe Biden also on the attack, saying he wishes he had spoken out sooner against President Trump. And all
These forces of intolerance remain determined to undermine and roll back the progress you all have made. This time, they, not you, have an ally in the White House. This time, they have an ally. They're a small percentage of the American people, virulent people. Some of them the dregs of society.
All this comes as President Obama and other high-profile Democrats have stepped up their criticism of the president ahead of the November midterms. So, Jessica, watching Vice President Biden's remarks and reading what Hillary Clinton had to say, there's not a lot of substance about policy. It's all about accusing the president of saying some mean things. Is that helpful?
Well, there is some stuff in there that I think is about policy. When they talk about going back as a society and lifting up all Americans, that is about economic policy, which the Democrats are arguing is in the GOP tax plan is not good for all Americans. That is a substantive case that we're making. I don't really, besides the, we need to define what hate speech is, and we can't throw that around because it actually does mean something. I see no problem with this. When you look at how many women are running for office and how many were inspired by Hillary Clinton, when you look at the enthusiasm gap, which is favoring Democrats strongly right now, and when you look at what's strong, the basis for these two people who have been leaders of our party for decades is in certain areas of the country, Joe Biden, really the whole place. I have no problem with this.
Ari, your response to that? You're over there kind of shaking your head a little bit.
Yeah, this is where people like me who are neither for Trump, not against Trump, trying to figure Trump out, and I'll criticize him when he deserves criticism. These attacks just push me into the pro-Trump camp. Because it takes me back to when Joe Biden said that the Republicans want to put y'all back in chains. Mm-hmm. They said it about John McCain. Columnists in the Huffington Post called him a racist. It is what Democrats do every election to everybody they don't like, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Yeah. They'll do it to Donald Trump's successor. You did it to McCain. You did it to Romney. You're doing it to Trump. Your party. You're right, Jessica. Yes. Your party. And it pushes me away.
You don't think that, so I disagree with that. I don't think John McCain is a racist. I will defend Donald
Trump on these issues because the Democrats use it as just the race card they'll play every election just because they need the vote of the minority community so much to win. They don't care who.
You don't think there's anything this president has said that might indicate that he doesn't? He is the president for all Americans. You think what he said in Charlottesville is appropriate?
I don't think Hillary Clinton would have been the president for all Americans.
I didn't ask the what about ism. I asked explicitly about this president.
I want to get back to a question. Hillary Clinton says that the democracy is in crisis as a result of President Trump. But Kennedy, what's more of a crisis? A former candidate refusing to accept election results, or a president who maybe could be a little bit more presidential?
No, she's either a person who is in psychological distress and is unable to move on from the trauma of November 2016, or she's running again. And, if she's running again, she better figure out a way to be a better candidate. Because I think you're shaking your head.
She's not running for anything.
She very well may. I mean, why is she extending her
Mayor
profile?
Of Chappaqua?
I don't know. You never know. She is so stunned by this. She has such a huge ego, and her
so many women in this country
is the dominating feature of her character.
If I could just sneak in for a second. When I hear this threat to democracy, immediately I think about the threat to the ruling class, not democracy, but to those politicians who have a death grip on power in Washington. And I think it backfires when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama say these things. This is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. We need to go back to where we were. There are a whole bunch of voters out there who hear, no, you all in Washington, both Republican and Democrat, want to keep this death grip on money and power, and I don't want it for my family anymore.
When she talks about predatory capitalism, that's crony capitalism. She is a corporatist, and she would have been much worse marrying big government with big companies.
Bernie Sanders would have been the worst for that on that. So.
Okay.